Still here on the project, building capacity around my mouth, but I got something to back it up. What do you think? Let's discuss it. This is Samson Tone, Liberian Public Radio. It's Friday, so why not? But I want to bring your attention to a show that I'm going to be having tonight. It's going to be very interesting. I'm encouraging all of you, those of you that are listening to this video, to tune in tonight, because perhaps this might be some of the reason why we have all of the mess that is going on in our own country, because you have to listen to these things. The trouble we've been having in Liberia didn't start overnight. These are things that's been happening from time to time. There are those who came before us, past generation, failed to recognize these things, and will continue to repeat them, and because we ourselves have not yet able to recognize and see if these things can be rectified, so that this country, beautiful country of ours, can be built just by our hands as Liberian. It doesn't matter who you are at this point. Concord country, it doesn't even exist anymore. We're all one another. We're all one country, one people. But if we do not understand why these things are happening to us, we're most likely not going to be able to find solution. So I ask you tonight to join me.
Yet, how does one begin to help people who swim on their own flooded streets to voting booths to vote incompetent criminals back into office?
Yes, that is a big question we all have to answer. How do you help people who will go to the voting booth swimming in their own flooded streets just to vote people in offices who are incompetent? And those incompetent people that are being voted in offices will also appoint people who are also incompetent. So this is like a big deal. How do we help our brothers and sisters to make sure that their voting rights are utilized effectively? They have the voting cards. They must be told how important their voting cards are to all of us. And so I'm saying, those of us that have this platform, this is not time for hate. You don't come into this because you hate. You must do all you can to educate the voters themselves, how important their voting cards are. Because if their vote Our leaders must be able to do what is right for our people. Join me this evening as I try to explore this particular question, and many more that will be coming. Join me this evening at 8 Eastern Time, 5 Pacific, where we will take on this question and be able to see how much we can go. With your help, we, the Liberian people, will be able to educate our brothers and sisters that have the right to vote whoever they want, but they must do so with responsibility. This is Samson Toll, Liberian Public Radio. Thank you very much.
C'est autiste-moi, encore une autre fidèle qui l'Amérique n'a pas voulu que nous. Quand il y a Sylvie, il y a quoi qui j'ai vu PRSS. L'Amérique n'a pas voulu que tu m'as bien demandé nous en somme à plus. On va battre au moins néo. On t'a dit à mon mounier, on s'est battu pour moi dit quoi. Tu là l'occasion.
Doing anything that people get amended, and with me from 2005 to date, we're all doing anything. I've done something. Trust me, I'll be re-elected. You understand? So you don't need to fight. You don't need to destroy your country. You don't need to even condemn your country. You have to be inspired, peacefully, and then convince the people, persuade people. Politics is about persuasion, and it's about what you have done for your people. I have done so much that I don't need pay for. You know why I don't need pay for? Because Liberians love me and they promoted me when I was on a soccer page. You know what I'm saying? And they were proud to be Liberian when I was on the soccer page. And I've done my best for my country. I'm a former peace ambassador. It doesn't matter what people say, I'm on record.
Yao, abela lokeyo, mi vito jogbai, mi vito inoba, martis mo keyo. Manager Gigi, we pe jamais forcé ou, si tu connais. L'animateur Choco Noska Yassen de Toyebi, l'homme a tout fait pour mi vito, Aniche le vieux.
Henry, I can tell you the problem of this country with respect to prices, with respect to health, with respect to education, and largely tied to roads. There are no roads. You don't see opportunities where they should be when you don't have roads. From up to 173 years, we only have one road. How do you know what is happening in Bapolu when you don't have roads? You don't go there. The prices of goods, commodities on the market are high because to get them to where they are needed. So there's no way you can, when I talk about road, I'm not talking about putting road on the sidewalk in Monrovia, $50,000 road and make it $3 million. We're talking about roads that will open up the country. We're talking about roads that will open up opportunities, roads that will get businesses going, and dependency reduced because people believe their goods and commodities can get to the market. That's what we're talking about.
But we'll prosecute and we'll confiscate assets that people steal and acquire by illicit means. I often say that in Liberia, when people get caught, they send their wife, they send their children, they send their relatives, whatever, to come and beg. I'm saying the Liberian people, don't come and beg. You know, don't come and tell me, oh, stand to help you get elected. He talked nice about you on the radio station. Now he's stealing, so forgive him. Stanley should have known when he was stealing that we're going to punish him. So there's going to be consequences. That's the first thing. Then we have to make sure we're paying people a living wage. So we did the arithmetic, we did the math in 2017 that when you look at policeman's salary or healthcare worker's salary or teacher's salary, by the middle of the month, the money finished. By the time they pay rent, they buy food, they pay the children tuition, and of course, they're not going to starve, right? So the policeman will pull you over, the teacher will accept bribe, they change grades.
Papa's land, Papa's land. We want to know whose land. Who owns Papa's land? We want to know. Papa's land, Papa's land. We want to know whose land. We want to know. Yes, we want to know who owns the land. I said we want to know. Africa wants to know who owns the land. Africa is my father's land. Yes, Africa is my own Papa's land. Will you let my people go? We want to rule from Cape to Cairo. Will you let my people go? We want to rule from Cape to Cairo. Will you free my people's hands? We want to rule like Papa's land. I say, will you free my brother's hands? We want to rule like Papa's land. Who owns Papa's land? We want to know. Papa's land, Papa's land. We want to know. Who owns Papa's land? We want to know. Papa's land, Papa's land. We want to know. Who owns Papa's land? We want to know. Papa's land, Papa's land. We want to know. Who owns Papa's land? We want to know. Papa's land.
Good evening, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio. We're here again this evening. We're going to be rocking it all the way here this evening, and we want to thank you very much. For those of you that are joining us, we hope that you will enjoy the show, because it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful show here tonight. We want to thank all of you again for tuning in to LIBERIA Public Radio, and we're going to do our best here to make sure that you are highly, highly informed of everything else that we have to do here tonight. I want to thank all of you, and welcome. In the meantime, let me just do some house cleaning here, to be honest with you. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Before I start anything, first thing first, safety. Lord Jesus, we want to thank you again this evening for bringing us here. Lord, we ask you to continue to bless us, continue to protect us. Lord, only through you that we're here. We want to thank you to be in control of everything we do. Lord, as we open our mouth here again tonight, we ask you to guide our tongue. Give us wisdom, my Lord. Make sure whatever comes out of our mouth is of a decent conversation. We ask you, my Lord, to bless the country of the Republic of Liberia. Bless the leaders of the Republic of Liberia. Give them wisdom to do what is good for our people. Bless the host country of Liberia. The host country of Liberia, yes, that's right. Bless the host country, United States of America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. But what make you think that when you pray, God can answer anything? Thank you. But anyway, let's keep it clean here tonight. I'm warning everybody that's listening. I appreciate you guys. And to be honest with you, not that you don't have anything to do, but to tune into us night in, day out, day in. So we appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. You didn't. Nobody is forcing you or anything, but because you love what we do and you appreciate what we do, and you want to make sure you listen to us. And so when we come out here, we respect you. And so sometimes, what make you think? Why do that? Somebody who would not rule must say I rule like anybody else, but I cannot come here with you watching me and show my rudeness. Because not only would I not be respecting myself, but I'll be disrespecting you as well. And I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to do that. Because the fact that you're not getting paid and yet still you're tuning in to us, it's a boost to our morale, it's a boost to our spirit. And even God will not allow me to be rude. But I'm asking you, my brothers and sisters, as we come out here tonight, I believe Mr. Sherry, Prince Sherry is going to be visiting here tonight. I ask you, please, let's respect each other. I don't agree with this young brother on many things, but I must be respectful to him. And I must also allow him to freely express himself without me saying anything or doing anything that is of a bad nature. And I'm asking all of you, let's respect each other. Let's respect ourselves. Lastly, if people will not hear this warning and will come here and try to insult, I'm going to be, you know me, I usually, this is the stuff I look at here. I also looked over there. And if I see you on the dashboard cussing, using words that is not of a decent word to be used on this platform, I will first of all warn you. And if you don't do not desist, I will block you. That's it. That's it. That's all that I have to do. So because this is important and we almost have voice. And we're not asking you, we're not forcing you. If you feel that somebody is saying something or I'm saying something you don't like, you don't have to insult me. You can just do the click and you're out. Samson told LIBERIA Public Radio. Folks, let's get it going here. Let me look here and see if Prince is here. No, not yet. Okay. But let's get it going. In fact, let me also send this out to other folks here as well. Again, Samson told LIBERIA Public Radio. We will be having some conversation about our country, of course, and the election is coming up. So please, let's have these conversation correctly, and you can say whatever you want to say. Nobody's going to tell you what to say or how to say it. But all I can say is that we here are brothers and sisters. The intent here on this platform is to have a decent conversation. You can disagree with me, but you don't have to insult. You can disagree with me, but you don't have to be rude. You can disagree with me, and you must disagree with me. Because if you agree with me, then what's the point? What would be my point of even coming here when I know people, everything I say, they will agree with me? Far from it. Far from it. I'm a liberal. We just fired a conservative talk show host the other day. And then I'm still warning these conservative members of LPR to just tell them that we're not going to, the liberals are in control. We're not going to allow them to try to bamboozle or try to accept their conservative view. We just fired one on what's the name of that radio station? TV station, whatever it is. He just got fired yesterday. And so what the people have told me clearly, they told me clearly, Mr. To, I say, yeah, they said, we're doing this. I said, okay, do it. And they said, watch out for your own. I say, I am watching. Anybody can bring your conservative idea here. That one, folks, then the whole Liberia I will fire because all Liberians are conservative. No, welcome, folks. Welcome, Samson to Liberia Public Radio. Those of you that are writing right now, we appreciate it. And please, let's keep it decent, and then let's get going. Okay, so tonight program, like I said on net, I'm going to be going back to the ambassador statement, press statement, and I think many of the supporters of CDC are not quite on board with that, and I don't understand exactly which one of the statement that perhaps the ambassador made that is not of a decent one. Prince Sherry, if you're listening, I just sent you the information, so please check your phone. Please check your phone, and please check your phone. And I sent you the information already. But anyhow, so let's go. So the two things I want to talk about here. One is about the road condition in Liberia. The rainy season, if it's not already on, is coming back again. But the question that I asked myself yesterday was, as I was reading that ambassador press statement posting, as I was reading it with my own total, because I cannot read, I don't know how to read. But as I was reading, I was asking myself, what exactly are we talking about? So let me bring him on. Prince Sherry is here, so let's have him to join us here. Mr. Sherry, good evening. Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us. Here we go. Can you hear me? Folks, it's gonna be rocking here tonight. Oh yeah, I love it. Can you hear me, Mr. Sherry?
Very loud and clear, sir. Are you also getting me?
Yeah, we got you. Thank you. Welcome, Liberian Public Radio.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to join us here. As you know, we here on Liberian Public Radio, we try to discuss issues affecting our brothers and sisters. We don't agree with many other issues. We don't agree on many other issues, but we do respect each other's view, and we allow each other to express your view freely. And then when you have, I know you're not an educated person, so if somebody is saying something, for example, if we call people start calling and making comments, and you can jog down the comment, and then we'll come back to you to see if we can do some rebuttal. But anyhow, let me start. What's on your plate this afternoon, sir?
Well, there are several issues on my plate.
Okay.
But again, we must always respect the rules as laid down by the moderator. So there are several issues on my plate, ranging from the developmental initiative that we refer to as the Propo Agenda of His Excellency President Dr. George Manning Weah.
Right.
We will be looking at somebody say in passing the recent statement of the U.S. ambassador and other issues. of national concerns.
Okay, let's because that's what I was going to start discussing. Let's start with the discussion from the ambassador comment. His statement, press statement. Let's start from that. But let me first of all put it on my and I hope you have it on there as well. So let me go on there and get it up because I want us to read it together if you can. As usual, I am not a good reader, but I hope that you will help me out. And I'm trying to uh, get okay right here. So let's see if let's let my stop. Okay. So before coming on and knowing full well that you were also going to be coming with me here tonight, I decided to peruse your page, and luckily for me, I was able to get some of your uh, um, platform information. And I wanted to do some clipping and stuff like that, but I thought, no, the young man knows exactly what he said. He remembers that. So in one of your clipping, your very first beginning, you stated something like the ambassador has gone out and has bring in information, credible information. And I'm just paraphrasing here now. Credible information. However, you also came out to then question those who were hired by President Weah to do certain things. And according to the ambassador, these things are not being done. And so now you're asking the government or anybody who has the ability or who has the power to question those who are responsible why these things are not done. And you also requested that the government must do things whatever they can to answer these questions that was raised in the ambassador's statement. However, after all of that stuff, then what I would consider deviating, but that's my word, that's not yours, that's my word. You immediately, and this is where I thought you as an intellectual and the fact that you were able to have that ability to be somehow uh, in my words again, and I'm not saying that's where you are, but be responsible within the first 4 or 5 minutes of your of the segment, and then immediately to now put up the hat of a supporter instead of a Liberian, because the reason I'm saying that the statement you make that these people, they are not friends. They don't seek friendship. They only seek interest. As though the ambassador's statement, not only are you questioning that, but you did, because you said nowadays, anybody that talk to these white people from our side, we have to look up. When the person say 9 o'clock in the morning, you look at your watch, you say in the morning, and you ask people, you show it in the morning because we're in political season. So anybody that says that those that were talking to the ambassador, they are also their behavior and the comment they made to the ambassador are also questionable according to you. So the question that I have for you is, how do you square that? On one hand, you said the ambassador is being factual. On the other hand, you said those who give the ambassador the information are not credible enough, and that, but at the same time, you want to find out, having gotten this information, you want the government now to find out why the money are not to these centers and places that the ambassador need. Mr. Sherry, how do you square that tonight, please?
All right. First of all, let me say thank you for giving me an opportunity to share this very prestigious platform with you. It
Thank
is
you.
something that we've long, been looking up to, and we are grateful that we have the opportunity to be here. And to the many panelists, I want to say, hats up, to them. This is one of the platforms that we are proud of. Why it is true that we will not agree with everything, but again, we are proud because we see this as another evolution in our democracy, where Liberians in the diaspora can have a direct say in what happened in Liberia, that they can be able to change the mindset and engage in, in the debate. And we want to say thanks to the government of His Excellency President Dr. George Manneh Weah, under whose leadership we have seen the proliferation of so many, media institutions. It is a good sign for our democracy, and it speaks volume to the issue of freedom of speech. As you may be aware, the president, His Excellency President Dr. George Manneh Weah, when he took over, he passed the Abdullah A. Kamara, a law where people will not be intimidated, based on their professional views. And
May
that
I
particular
interrupt?
uh,
May I remind you, sir? This is two-way street here. You say,
definitely,
I
yeah,
say.
yeah.
This after doing that, this is the same president who is also on record that anyone who insults the presidency will not be able to walk the street of Monrovia. Now,
Yeah,
how do you square that up as
yeah,
well?
in the context of insult the presidency, we know when politicians speak, they speak from different angles.
Okay.
You could insult the presidency by bringing in insurgent, for example, bringing in arms to, overthrow a government.
Oh,
That is
okay.
an insult to the presidency. An
Okay.
insult to the presidency, you could sponsor subversive activities. That
Okay.
is an insult to the presidency. So
Okay.
I want to believe that these activities will not survive in Liberia.
So
You know,
basically, according to you now, from what I'm getting, and I just want you to let me make it sure so you can get back to your explanation,
yes,
is
sir.
that when he made that statement, he was not talking about verbal insult as opposed to somebody who want to derail the progress of this government in terms of armed insurgency and other adverse activities that will affect the peace that we all enjoy today. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I can answer in a definitive based on what we are seeing, because there are people who have been using a lot of vulgarity against this president, and they've been going, scot free, to the extent of the president even calling them that they can sit around the table to talk. So, in my view, I think, it is in that particular vein that the president was speaking. But
All right.
again, as I said, we want to thank the president, for giving us that opportunity. Again, we must all appreciate this president for giving us the opportunity, especially those of us in the diaspora, that we can be able to participate, as Liberians. Once a Liberian, somebody will say, always a Liberian. This is one of the trademark and, a very, very meaningful step of this president, that today you and myself, we can be proud and put a passport up and say, I am an American, but I'm also a Liberian. So, we want to say thanks to the president for that, to this particular government for that.
Okay.
Now, relative to, your question, let me just make this disclaimer first before I move to the question. uh, my name is Prince N. Sharif. I am on this platform as Prince N. Sharif. Why it is true that I am the Assistant Secretary General of CDC USA, and I'm also the host of Honor the Palava Hut. But my view here does not represent the view of CDC USA, and I'm not here in an official capacity to represent the institution, but I'm here as a partisan, as a Liberian, and as also someone who, have a show or who is a host and believe in the Propo agenda. So I want to make this disclaimer so that,
So all of the
people.
statement that you're gonna be making here tonight, one way or the other, they are in defense of the Propo agenda that was established on this leadership of President. Am I correct so far?
Definitely, but
Okay.
speaking in an individual capacity, not in. Yeah,
Fair enough. Let's jump back to the ambassador point then. Now,
sure.
I
Thank you.
lay out
So,
some stuff based on your own
yeah,
program this morning.
yeah,
So go
yeah.
ahead.
So, I want to first of all begin with the statement that was made with Chris, one of our, lawmaker here in the United States. This man accused the mayor of being, involved in the war. And later we got to know
When you say
that
Chris, are you speaking directly about Congressman
Chris
Chris
Smith,
Smith?
exactly so. Yeah, Chris Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. He alleged that the Honorable Mayor Jefferson Tamakoji was, a child soldier, blah, 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 and
Prince,
the rest of it.
but
Then
Honorable
yes, sir.
Sharif,
Yes, sir.
please let us don't start the program like that.
No, I
Uh,
know. I'm going to the question. I just want to lay the basic because you,
yeah,
you
but,
you touch on issue where I said, it is not every statement that somebody made that you must believe it. That when a politician tell you good morning, look at the time, is
okay,
based on
okay,
that I'm coming from.
okay. All
That
right,
and
all right,
and the
all right.
reason for which I'm saying this is that we must understand that the world in which we live, information does not come just like that. There are individuals who convey these informations, and these individuals who convey these informations, they have their own agenda, and we must be very careful because if we do not do a critical analysis of these informations that we have received, we will, be left along the wayside and be made shame, like what we saw with the Honorable Chris Smith. You know, he was fed with an information that was very inaccurate, an information that was, completely out of order. And later on, we saw what happened. But again, with the statement
What
of
happened? What happened later on? You can't leave her hanging like that. Did Chris Prick came back and apologize or retract the statement that you're making reference to?
well, at the end of the day, we saw that their effort to be able to, malign the character of this particular great son of the
Fair
soil,
point. But the
it
question,
was
the
it was it,
question
it
is,
they
yeah, the question is,
back off. They back
yeah,
off with their quest. That
okay.
quest was back off.
But
So,
then the question
that
is, was Honorable Smith, Chris Smith, retracted his statement, which was public, by the way.
well, I think his action, sometimes, your action prove it. Sometimes your action prove it.
Okay.
If you make a statement in order for you to be able to effectuate certain things, and then at a certain point in time, you back off from that decision, it almost like, you just look at it and say, anyway, maybe I was deceived. And we
But
also
but
heard from,
but but what we're talking to intellectual here this evening. So
yes, sir.
let's do one at a time.
Yeah.
So you assuming when you in fact, let me push you a little bit. When you say
Yes, sir.
back off, what exactly you mean back off?
All right. The intent of feeding Honorable Chris Smith with that information was to one, print the government negatively, so that at the end of the day, these people will be able to, lay a kind of sanction on the government or on the Honorable Mayor Jefferson Tambakoji. But based on his own extensive information and the information that he was fed with, that is the truth. At the end of the day, he found out that all of the information that was given to him by people, who maybe
Your
have different thought of
explanation,
the government,
we're
it
gonna
was never truth.
I'll let you finish your stuff, but the explanation you're giving me, you have not given me anything as an example. So I will assume that all the explanation, the man backing up and all that, those are all assumption. The fact that
No,
you have not seen additional action from Chris Smith, and therefore you assuming now that he has backed up. Am I
no,
correct?
I'm not assuming, sir. The facts are there. The facts are there. In fact, the opposition came out with different press statement. In fact, in December, there will be sanction on this person. In fact, they had a list of
Okay.
those who
All
they
right.
wanted to
Okay.
sanction.
So
So
I think this is what I'm prepared to do now. Listening to you, I thought perhaps the conversation would have been a little bit elevated to the point of where we would try to provide some adequate information to our audience.
yes, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm here to do.
I understand that, but it seems like we're going to go into political activities with respect to opposition and the government. So I am not going to hold you anymore to a higher standard. Let's put it that way. I will let you express yourself freely, but I'm not going to try to have you hoping that perhaps you will come and give us an example, factual an example, documented example, which that's what I was asking the little question there, but I'm
Yeah,
not going to get this.
and
So go ahead
we
with
are
your point.
getting Yeah, and we are getting there. We
Okay.
also listening to the statement of the ambassador, where
Okay.
he said he was deeply disappointed in people who sit, in their
1 minute.
yeah.
Let me bring in Sissy here.
Okay.
He's here as well. So, Sissy, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you want us to excuse you while you listen in the
I
background?
I was listening because I'm running from class to come and have a conversation with my brother. So I ended class early to try to get home. But yeah, I can
Okay.
listen on the back.
Okay, we'll just put you. We'll just put you in the back here for now, and he and I
Okay.
can, when you're ready, just let me know through your thumb out, and we'll bring you back in. How's that?
All right, that's fine.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Prince.
so we also listening to the US ambassador,
Mm-hmm.
where he expresses own dissatisfaction on people who sit in their couch or in their basement or whatever, and spew out information that is not truth. And when they are asked by authority, they say, well, we ain't get no information, or we ain't get no you call fact on what we say. It's clear in the ambassador statement. So these are all examples that are very clear that it is there that people can go up to and check up to, that everybody have been discussing over the period. Now, when it comes to the ambassador statement, let me say this, that for me as an individual, let me first of all commend the ambassador for the fact that he would take upon himself to do a tour of the Republic of Liberia in the county. I think I must commend the ambassador. He did exceptionally well by going to those counties. But let me say this, while it is true that the issues raised by the honorable ambassador, they are issues that Liberia has been faced with since the day of Joseph Jenkins Rabos, but that does not in any way negate the fact that it is not happening in this particular period, or we are not faced with these challenges. But what we are saying is that we should be sincere whenever we are approaching these issues, and we should do it not with a political interest,
And
not with
I
an
suppose
intent.
when you say we now, you are also including the ambassador into that we.
Yes, the we is every one of us. The we is every one of us,
And
because
so,
before the
so the
ambassador.
we is every one of us. In your last statement before I jump in was that we were being political in these things. So does that include the ambassador?
Definitely, the ambassador is not a non-political person. He is a political person. He represents a country. He also, as an individual, I believe, has his own interest with whoever. So whenever we're discussing the issue of the ambassador, that politics straight, we're talking. We are not talking religion. We are not talking anything.
So
So
let me read some stuff here and see what you think about it.
yes, sir.
You want me to do that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
He said, unfortunately, on the trip, I was startled and deeply troubled to encounter multiple county hospitals that received not one penny of what they were promised in 2022 budget. What do you make of that?
The first thing is, I would not want to take the ambassador word as a law and gospel, because what he was saying or was alluding to in that particular statement was information that he was being felt with by other people. So what I think we need to do, that's why when you're listening to me, I call on the requisite authority. And I want to believe that within the next 2 or 3 days, the requisite authority will be able to do an official statement to be able to provide to the Liberian people that whether this information that was felt to the honorable ambassador, whether this information are factual. Because
So
Mr. Toll,
let me read the other one. I
yes, sir.
agree. I agree with that. We're going to be skeptical. That's fine. But let me read this one. The ambassador said, as
Okay.
reported in the press last week,
Mhm.
with Pwawanland Memorial Hospital in Lofa County, these facilities currently survive on the back of incredible, dedicated health professionals, making do with whatever they can scrape together. Is that not, because it was reported in the press about that, and he was just
Yeah.
saying that. So
Let me again say this. I'm not trying to sweep the ambassador's statement under the carpet. I'm not saying that we are not faced with challenges as a nation and as a people. But what I'm saying is that our Prince Sharif, based on what we have seen, how the press have conducted themselves, especially some media houses, the way they have conducted themselves, when information are given to the people, there is a need for us to do a forensic check on this information, not to take it as a face value because the press say. We have seen in so many instances that the press have come up with information, and at the end of the day, we went there to do check, and those information that was provided by the press, they were not accurate, they were not substantive, they had no value in it.
Let me read this other one.
And before we go there, and we must understand that the press now, as we speak, is divided. The press is highly politicized in Liberia. We cannot divulge politics of it.
Okay, let me read this. I'm strictly dealing with the ambassador's statement here. Let me read this other one and see if it's raised any concern whatsoever with you. And this is the ambassador. The United States government is about to spend a total of US $40 million constructing Liberia's state-of-the-art national reference laboratory that, when completed, would require $3 million to $4 million a year from the government of Liberia. If the government, he said, is failing to deliver statutory appropriation of only $100,000 to the existing hospital, why will we ever trust annual pledge of $3 to $4 million annually? Now, is that something that raised concern? The fact that he's an ambassador to the to Liberia for the United States, and he's saying the government of the Republic of Liberia, if they cannot provide budgetary allotment of $100,000 to the hospital, why should they expect the government to live up to the promise of $3 million? Is that something concerning you, or are you going to also put that in the basket of deplorable from the ambassador as you try to
you see, Big Brother told, when people speak, sometimes we must be very careful to understand how they are speaking. The word "if" was used in the ambassador statement, meaning that is a condition word that the ambassador is not setting. Whenever people are speaking, some of us, we are not English major, but again, we must understand the tone, we must understand the diction, we must understand. That's why you see English is a very difficult language, that when people speak, especially when diplomats speak, understand their language. Now, the ambassador wasn't saying that Liberia cannot maintain it. He wasn't definite in his statement. He said, if
you cannot do this, because we all I'm not an educated person either. I don't know how to read. I'm unlike you. I don't even understand the English language, but a little bit that I know from Total. Let me just say this. He said, if, and the word "if" is not a condition to doubt the government. He said, if the government is not able to do this presently, what make you think that we should try? And I put it in the Liberian English now. If the man he able to move, he able to pay these people, what make you think that he able to pay $10? He follows somebody's wife. He able to pay $10. Somebody's wife. Then when he follows somebody's hair wife, he able to pay $20. That the question the ambassador asking, they say the man say if. Prince?
Yeah, that word "if," Big Brother too. I understand that, when we're discussing this thing, people say, "Oh," but let's look. The word "if" is not definitive. He wasn't sure. It almost like it's a condition. If this one not happen, this one can happen. So he is saying that if you are not able, are we not able? Are we not able to take care of these?
According to the ambassador, they were unable. The government was unable to provide $100,000.
No,
in the budget.
That's what I said. The ambassador's statement is not carved in stone. That's why we need to get to the requisite authority, and that's why I believe within the next day or 3, the requisite authority will be able to come up with the information to tell us that those allegations or those issues that was raised by the ambassador, whether they are factual, whether indeed money that was allocated to those agencies or to those hospitals, whether they were not giving or if they were mismanaged. Because you must understand that the ambassador spoke to people that are from different political backgrounds. They have their own interests and etc. etc. We are Liberians. We know how our people do things. There are times people intentionally will lie against people only because they want to defame their character or because they want to represent their own interests or their political interests and try to bring somebody down. Now, I am not saying, let me repeat this, that people who are listening can hear it clear. I am not saying that we are not faced with challenges as a nation. But some of these allegations, they are very, very concerning. They are very grave. And that's why the requisite authority must be able to speak to it. If the requisite authority speak to it, and indeed they allude to the fact that the allegation that was made by the honorable ambassador, they are truth, then it is something that we must start to look at the authority and those concerned to deal with it. But in the absence of these things, like the ambassador is saying, all of what he was saying, they are all, somebody will say, tell him the information. Oh, and big brother too. I was passing down there, the time I was passing the total time, I saw that mail. That man, the time I saw in the man told other person say, he must tell me, say, I'm gonna tell you, say, so you can tell the person, say, me say, you say, other people say. There is a likelihood of information being distorted. There is a likelihood of one misunderstanding the information. So in order for us to deal with this issue adequately, there is a need for all of us to hold our houses, for all of us to be patient and allow the requisite authority. And that's why I want to use this medium to call on those agencies, those requisite authority of government, that there is a need for you to be able to speak to this thing. Look, we are not begging you. Let me say this. We are not begging you. The Liberian people are not begging you to speak to these things. We are giving you an ultimatum because you are working for the Liberian people that you must speak to these issues. We, the Liberian people, must know whether this allegation that was raised by these people, whether they are factual or they are not factual. You must speak to them. But in the absence of these people speaking to them, it's almost like the man who told his son, say, hey, my son, I'm going to buy chicken. When I buy the chicken, we lay egg. When he lay egg, then the child say, oh, papa, we playing with the egg. They will choke it all in the air. Then the papa knock a child here, say, yeah, also you will bought the egg and start beating the child. Chicken where you not even get it. Then you start beating the child for the chicken. So what I'm saying is that the information that have not been authenticated from the requisite authority, must we start beating ourselves for that information? Listen, you will see the quotation mark. Anytime you read, when you're talking, you will see the quotation mark. That two things right here, you will see it. Yeah. It means that somebody was telling him.
Again, folks, Samson to LeBron Public Radio. My guest here this evening is Prince Sharif, who I believe, and this is my own description, sophisticated young Liberians. And this is what I've always stated, and I truly believe that these young Liberians who are educated and sophisticated, if you get them in a position to do what Prince is doing here tonight, I'm enjoying myself, to be honest with you. Not that I lack of words, but I'm enjoying myself to listen to him, to not just take the ambassador to task, because, and he's quite correct. Sometimes we take these statements from the ambassador and everybody else and say, well, they are the ambassador of the United States, and therefore, but for him to take now and say, well, the information provided, the people who are in charge, which is quite correct, the people who are in charge have not spoken yet. So let us don't rush into everything else. That's fine. That's fine. I get it, Prince, but the only issue that I have is that, honestly, these are people that would take U.S. taxpayer money and fund activities in Liberia because of what they think and how they feel about us, Liberian. They allow Liberians here in the United States to work and be able to send money back home. So I think if we're going to reduce them, and you have the right to do that, and I'm not trying to dissuade you from that at all, but if we're going to reduce the ambassador's statement as a mere speculation, in as much sophisticated as you are, then I think you're not doing Liberian people a favor either. Even though you admitted that there are some challenges in the country, and I think those are the challenges that the ambassador is trying to point out. And I think we will do ourselves a favor, not necessarily accepting all of it, but to say to ourselves that yes, there are issues. The ambassador mentioned about $65 million being allotted to the lawmakers 2022. The ambassador made a point that perhaps there must be some sort of a syndicate. Those I think perhaps you as a sophisticated person who is partisan, I think those are the kinds of issue or statement that perhaps you need to not necessarily disagree, but at least put some sort of a distance. But to take the entire statement and want to make Liberian to start questioning the motives of the ambassador, then I think we're not doing ourselves a favor. Because I believe, in as much as I also want to say that yes, he is his interest, but I also believe when the ambassador traveled and he mentioned something about a road from Zwedru to Fishtown, which I traveled on during the last time I was over there. Then I think it brings out, because we all have traveled those roads, then it brings some reality to us. And if the ambassador was said to us that the Liberian economy has grown, according to the government of the Republic of Liberia, 3.7%, and yet still not unable to provide decent role to alleviate some of the suffering for millions of Liberians in the Southeast. And then for us as Liberians to reduce that merely as a speculation, Mr. Sherry, I know you're very sophisticated and you do a good job as a partisan. And I'm not saying you're speaking solely as a partisan, because some of the points you're making, they are of interest to Liberia and Liberian as well. So I'm not going to reduce your statement merely as a sedition partisan. Far from that. But I think we should do ourselves a favor by trying to point out the challenges. And I think Jefferson Kochi, the 2 or 3 minutes he spent here at one time on LeBron Public Radio, made that point, and I respect him for that. I think he's one of the insider who had come out and publicly stated that the government of Liberia, we have challenges, we're working towards them, we have challenges. And in fact, because of that statement, I believe him. When I went home, while I was there, I did a video of watching men, a group of men with a truck of cleaning the street of Monrovia. And one of these days I will show, because I've been one of those here with my big mouth saying Jefferson Kochi have not done anything, Liberia, Monrovia is stink. And I was there and I saw these people trucks, loading the trucks with dirt. And I interviewed their supervisor, I interviewed the driver, I even interviewed the workers. And the supervisor told me, he said, I have no relationship with the mayor, but this is what you see now. This is what we do every day, he says. But you guys up in a state, you don't see these things and you just take these things. So I said, well, when I go, I will play them. I'm bringing these things up that some of us are trying to be a little bit respectful for the kinds of work our brothers and sisters are doing. So basically, Prince, I'll just say again, you have the right to express yourself freely the way you do, but I think we will do ourselves a favor if we try to engage in those words that might come from this ambassador that perhaps we might deem differently than what it actually is supposed to mean.
Sure, and that's what I said from the very beginning, that I am not brushing away the challenges that we are faced with as a nation. Like when you look at this particular press statement or this press release from the ambassador, he talked about the issue of the lawmakers, which is very important, and there is a need for us to look at it. You know, like I said today, there are 3 cardinal functions of the of the law making people, or those who make the law. They have 3 cardinal responsibilities. And in the absence of adequately performing those 3 cardinal responsibilities, there is a lack in government. Because if government will function, It means that everybody must play their part and play it adequately. He made some issue about the lawmakers. And I want to believe that some of the problems we are faced with as a nation, as a people, they are squarely on the laps of these lawmakers. I'll give you an example. Let's look at the issue of oversight. Now, let's ask ourselves, these lawmakers have something called their constituency break or agriculture break, however they call it, either constituency break or agriculture break. And like I said today on the show, how many of these lawmakers use the breaks that are given to them to interact with their constituents, know what the problems are, be able to do a realistic, not a political approach, but a realistic approach on the problems that they are faced with? There are lawmakers today, when you ask them, how many hospitals do you have in your county or in your clan? How many clinics in your clan? They will not tell you. How many schools do you have? They will not tell you. And these are some of the things that these lawmakers are supposed to raise. Because remember that the president of the Republic of Liberia is not omnipresent. He is not everywhere at the same time. That's why we have these branches of government to be able to work, coordinate information, and feed the people with information. But take for an example, let's look at maybe, for example, where I'm from, Grand Cape County. St. J, for example, Medical Center. If my lawmaker, for example, or the senator, Vani Gotonabi Sherman, cannot even visit that place, I can't even tell when last, because I have people that are working down there that I get information from. They cannot tell you when last he visited that particular place. Now, how will you know the problems that the people are faced with? How will you come back to Monrovia as a lawmaker to raise these issues? Let's look at the school, for example, the high school there in Grand Cape County. When doing his own break or doing their break, that my lawmaker, I want to be very specific with my lawmaker, Vani Botonabi Sherman, when last did he, pay a visit at some of the public institutions and know the problem that they are faced with? Because remember that these people are lawmakers. You must see the problem. When the problem are seen, then you can adequately be able to raise this issue in the house and say, look, Grand Cape, for example, there is a need for, a robust effort from the Ministry of Education or from the Health Ministry as it relates to the health sector in that particular area. But unfortunately, most of these lawmakers, they sit in Monrovia doing their constituency break if they are not coming here. And let me tell you something. We are about to put together a group and we will protest severely and seriously the lawmakers who will abandon their district and come to America here. While it is true that America is for every one of us, but if you think you will abandon the people, we are putting together a group. We are putting all our legal documents together. We will go to your house. Whether you in North Dakota, we will leave from the East Coast and go there and we'll protest. We'll tell you to go back home. We will tell you to go. We are putting that group together. And let me say here on this platform, we are putting that group together.
Yeah, you are. You're planning a protest, but when Liberians plan a protest again.
No, and let me say this. We are not saying that the issue of planning protests, is a crime. No. But we are looking at the intent, the motive. Okay. I just told you why I'm doing it for.
I agree with you. And I really respect the passion of your engagement. I really like that. And that's what I'm saying. As a young Liberian, I am proud to, even though I don't agree with you on many things, but the fact that you are able to articulate these views of yours so adequately with passion, it makes me feel better as a Liberian that you and any other Liberian that perhaps would not agree with you. We've been out here now for an hour. Not once have you used a language that is not of a decent word to use. Not once have you described or even threatened violence. So it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining. I know you've been listening. What do you make of this conversation this evening?
Hey, Mr. Toe. Hey, my brother Prince. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm grateful to be on the platform with you, and thank you so much for being here, sir. I know how busy you are for forsaking.
I enjoy it so much. I was in my college class. I found an excuse to get out just to come and get on because I enjoy the conversation so much. But having said that,
let me strongly disagree with my Lofa brother Prince on so many points that he raised. Number one, to try to frame the ambassador's press release, press statement as something that is based on speculation, I think is a I think it's a gross misunderstanding of how the embassies of countries speak and how they collect their data. The ambassador is the tip of the sword of the U.S. government foreign policy as implemented through the State Department. The ambassador would not just go to a village. And I heard you saying, somebody said, they say, you're talking about the two fingers, the quotation, because my uncle say, my uncle say, my uncle say. The embassy of the Republic of Liberia will not put out a press statement for the ambassador that will be based on hearsay. When the ambassador put those pieces in there, it was to make an emphasis on the point. A lot of the things the ambassador spoke about, if you read the 2022 State Department report on Liberia, was what is in there. He just gave a synthesis and he was giving examples of where those things live. Like this person said this, just to be able to make sure that he's articulating the point. The next piece, you talk about the if statement and to say that means he's not sure. You and I know, you are a former teacher, that in logic and in computer science, there are if-then statements. It doesn't mean that I am not sure. You are saying that here are the antecedents. And before even he said the if-then statement, he gave several antecedents of issues. He talked about how money has not been paid to take care of $100,000 allocated for budget. These people have not even gotten that. The government can allocate $100,000 and these hospitals have not even gotten their share. How then would the government be able to pay $3 million to upkeep something? Those are antecedents that he laid out to say, ergo, therefore, this is not possible. He was using data to tell you that this would not be possible based on what we have here. And as a matter of fact, you don't just have to talk to people in the Leeward counties to listen to them say this is not happening and say, oh, maybe it's opposition is saying that. There have been instances, for example, where the Minister of Public Works and the commissioner of the election commissions have gone to plenary and sat there and said that they have not gotten their money that was allocated to them in budget. They didn't get it. So the ambassador has not spoken about anything that is not happening. And to sit here, my brother, and say that in the next 2-3 days there will be requisite a government agency will respond. I want to find out, when was the last time since the ambassador or Chris Smith you brought out has said things or have accused the government of things? When was the last time we had credible heads of agency come out with data to say, here is where we disagree and here is our point? It's never happened. It's always been to go through these media houses where people come and say stuff. Like, for example, oh, they will not do this. And then you, for example, Prince Sherry on your show will come and amplify that. So when we talk about people providing data, and I heard you talk about the press in Liberia not being authentic. And I want to ask you, Prince, when was the last time you strive to be authentic? So, for example, the president comes from Dubai. And you say he had this however many $1 million agreement. You don't provide those things for us to see. You run with it. As a matter of fact, let me just hold you real quick. You are one of those guys who kept bringing breaking news. Zolizo will be confirmed. Breaking news. Zolizo got confirmed. Several times on your page, Zolizo never got confirmed. And so my question to you is, do you think that everything that gets said about the Republic of Liberia that is not happening, that is not going well, do you think that everything has to be framed in a partisan mindset? Because Terawayan Hospital is an example that's existing right now. And I just send money to people to go to hospital to Terawayan. So that is a fact that's existing right now. So do you really think that it's everything that has to be framed in politics? And even if we all see it that is glaringly red, you got to still call it blue.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I like the way you laid, your premise and the way you land your statement. But let me say this: as somebody who is a Liberian and I've interacted with Liberians extensively, not in Monrovia, even though I was born in Monrovia, but by the grace of God, I live in almost all of the counties for good period. Not for just 1 week. I didn't go there for just 3 hours or 2 hours. So I can sit down and close my eyes and give you the map of Grange there. I can sit down and close. I will not talk about Lofa and Grand Cape Mount County because that's my county. I will not talk about Mosorado, but I can sit down, close my eyes, and give you an analysis of River G because I've lived there. Now, what I'm saying here is that you talk about the honorable ambassador using, several that if was an antecedent. But let me say this: that was not an independent antecedent. When you're listening to what he said, these were statements that were made by people.
What do you mean
even
by
the hospitals.
Can I ask you a question
What
just
do
for
you mean
learning?
by
What do
independent?
you mean by independent
Okay, fine.
antecedents? Because
Fine.
antecedents are not independent.
No, when I talk about an independent antecedent, what I'm saying is that statement, it was not from him. It was
So
not what he. It was not what he.
It didn't mean independent antecedent. It just meant that it was not his statement.
It was not his statement. I'm just trying to put it in that form. It was not his statement. He was making a statement based on what people told him about the hospital, that they have not received X, Y, Z, and Z. It was based on that he came down to say, if you people cannot maintain what you have, then how will you maintain this? That's what I'm saying. Read it. I have it right here. Before coming to that particular if statement, that conditional statement, before coming there were analysis that he made that was collected from people, from second party, from third party. Read it. It's right there. I have it right here. It's right there. So that's what I'm saying. These were not independent.
Some of those statements, let's analyze them. Which statement you're talking about that's not independent antecedent?
When you look at the statement that he made relative to
just tell me which sentence. Just start reading the sentence so we can look at it.
Okay, let me go right there about the center. Talk about the center. That is the county service center. It's right here. Let me see. Okay.
That would be the third paragraph. You want to look at the third paragraph because that's where it talked about the county service centers. The third paragraph.
Okay, say I also visited most of the county service center, and in 2022, none had received any of the budget allocated. Blah blah blah. Okay, one center has not printed marriage certificate for 4 years because the printer broke, and their last allotment was received 5 years ago. Virtually all of them.
So what is it? What is
beautifully?
Hold on. Go ahead.
I'm coming, sir. All of them beautifully electrified over the past 2 years with UNDP supplies solar power system costing around blah 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 and things like that. An amplifier staff by mostly a salary employee in 30 buildings are reduced to the job of they say middlemen, limited to forwarding paperwork to Monrovia periodically for time-consuming purposes. Their pledge make a mockery of decentralization effort. The one functioning office, in every center. The Liberian Revenue Authority (LRA) has a representative who collected. So when you go down there and where you can say, oh, let me just reach to the place there. He said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said, it is tracking that the further I went from Monrovia, the most elaborate and explicit were the reasons given for the lack of funding from the central government. That place, the reason that the people gave for the lack of funding from central government.
In a different paragraph, Prince. So you want us to go back to the
we're coming down. He said, now it is this particular statement that I want us to look at. He said, oh, it is challenging. That is somebody talking. You see the quotation. I don't want to go through all that.
Yeah.
From where he said, oh, it is challenging.
Putting popularly the member of the government is saying, oh, it is challenging for the government these days. Oh, Putin war has made everything more difficult. Speaking on behalf, I suppose, of the government, Prince, prices have dried up the budget. Your donor partner must fill the gap. So he's saying these people most likely they're not telling him something that they're most likely telling him in defense of why these things are happening.
Can I say something? Can I please say something? Because my brother Prince Sharish tried to talk about stuff that the ambassador said here that could not stand on their own. He took a whole paragraph and we got past that. He couldn't still point to that. But let's get to where he wants to go. He wants to go to, for those of you who are following us along, he's going to paragraph 4. And in paragraph 4, what the ambassador said that, he said it was striking that the further away you went from Monrovia, the more elaborate and explicit the reasoning given. So people were backing the government.
Yes.
Maybe the negative.
And not backing the government.
More reasons why things are, they say, oh, things are tough. Putin was creating problem. He's saying that these people kept defending the government and giving reasons why things were not working the way they anticipated. And he even talked about, do these people even know that the economy kind of expanded for these kind of reasons they're giving? So he's not even here saying that bad things are happening within the government. He's saying, he's quoting people that are actually vouching for the government and say, yes, we know things are tough, but here is why things are tough. So I really don't stay again.
No, but people who are giving him, this is not independent work from the ambassador. All of the information that he provided here, all of the information, excuse me, sir, all of the information that the ambassador is providing here are information that he gathered from on the ground, are information that he gathered from people, are information that are taken from sources that are on the ground. That we do not know.
Can I ask you hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute. Can I ask you a question, Prince?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what they call fact finding?
Yeah, I know what a fact finding is. I'm a security person, so I'm also a teacher. So when you talk about fact finding,
when you go do as a security person, when you go do some fact finding, and based on information that you gather out there, should the people that this information might adversely affect, should they then consider your fact finding as speculations?
When you go on fact finding, the reason for which you go on fact finding is because an information is provided and you want to go and counter check it to make sure that that information is accurate. That information is accurate. Whenever you go on fact finding, there are issues that you have some concern about. But you want to verify. That's why you go on fact finding. Now,
Prince, hold on. You haven't given us an adequate defense of your statement that you're making by bringing this ambassador statement in. I'm not going to call it public ridicule because that would be too far off. But bringing this ambassador statement to dispute, what is here that make you to think that the ambassador was being fed information that should not be trusted?
Thank you. Because the thing is, here is it. Whenever you receive an information, there is always a need for you to be able to at least be able to have 2 or 3 different sources. Now, those places that the ambassador went, they were all areas. I'm coming, sir. Let me answer that. I'm coming to you. Those areas that he went, they have their head, or somebody will say there are agencies, there are ministries that are responsible for these areas. So I think, from all fairness, that's why I said from the very beginning, I don't want to just brush this under the carpet. Yes, there are challenges, but again, let us be able to independently verify it from, or let's listen to what the agency or the head of these areas have to say. Let us not just take the ambassador word as
brother, that should have been your statement all along.
But that's what I said from the beginning. But again,
you should have said, Mr. Toh, I am not ready to engage on this statement because the government and those who are responsible should look into this statement and tell us exactly why the ambassadors are those statements correct.
No, didn't I say it here? I even on this platform, I even call. No, I even call on authority to address this issue. But I'm also saying that some of the statements here, they are politically motivated. That's what I'm saying.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this, please. Let me just say this here, folks. Again, those of you, the young people out there that are watching this show here, I think first thing here, we should take our hat off to Prince to be able to fiercely defend his position, even if we don't agree with him, but to fiercely defend his position, and that because in his defense, in the process, there are some point, if you want to logically look into some of the issues he's raising, I think he's making some real good point here. So let us don't just say that this thing is not good. No. I think Prince, I hope we can have you here as many times as possible. But Sese, I think we will agree that Prince appearing here tonight is a boost to all of us, I would say.
Prince's appearance here is a good thing. To be able to go on other platform where you're not in your own echo chambers is always a good thing. It's a sign of intellectual growth. But I would disagree with you that because he's vehemently defending an indefensible point.
That's your definition. That's your definition.
You made your point.
I just want to clear that quickly. Okay, go ahead.
You're not wearing your Prince. Me, I put him on my head because at the end of the day, it is incumbent upon us that have been blessed to go to school, like my brother Prince Sherry and myself, to be factual, intellectually factual, and tell people what it is. So Prince Sherry is talking about the lack of independence. The ambassador, his presumption is that the embassy of the Republic of the United States in Liberia is run by one person. He forgets that there is a Shaji affair. He forgets that there are people there, that there are attachés, there are economic attachés, there are security attachés, and these people are PhDs and learned people who will sit down and look at the ambassador statement before it's released. This is not something where somebody just went somewhere and he came out and he decided to speak on the fly of his pants. Because remember, this man understands that he speaks, and when he speaks for and on behalf of the United States of America. So we should not sit down here and try to do that. And Prince Sharif said, many I want to put our lower level people he spoke to. Fine. Let's grant Prince Sharif that. The fact that the man did not even call anybody's name. So how does he even get to that presumption? Right? The other piece was Prince Sharif keeps talking about independence, right? And I'm looking for where that independence is lacking. I don't know if he wants us to go and look at the 5th paragraph and see maybe there's an independence lacking, because the ambassador talked about them withholding 25% of the salary of their employees. Is that also not independence? Are we going to check that, or do we don't want to check the pieces that are not palatable to our political point? The ambassador talks about in paragraph 7 and 6 about U.S. taxpayers spending around $60 million a year on healthcare in Liberia. Is that also not factual? Because those are data he's putting out there. Can you go and check them? So I think what we should be saying here is the government of Liberia, Prince Sharif needs you to give him the data to come and rebut these things. But to sit here and just throw stuff around and say, oh, this might be partisan and the ambassador has his side, I think it's a total disservice and it's a misread of this document, because the document is there for everybody to see, and there's nothing in here that talks about, that gives you even any credence to say, oh, that man just went looking for people that will hold this government accountable. Because even if you look in the document, he said, least let us not think that this is just something that is limited to this government. He said this has been happening before, and it looks like there might be a cartel of someone that stops resources from going to these lead war counties. Okay, so I don't see where the politicization of this thing is coming from. I think what we ought to be doing as Liberians is just like Prince Sharif sat here and talked about the other thing that came up when the ambassador spoke the last time and was chastising people that sit in the diaspora and say stuff. He will take that part. He will take that. But he will want to politicize and try to throw blames around when the other piece is not palatable to him. And I think that is unfair to our Liberian people.
Okay. All right. Fair point. Fair point. I mean, those are folks against Samson told LeBron Pobrito. You see, and I had to say this here, but for me, sitting here with Sissy on one hand and Prince Sari on another hand, with me sitting in the middle as an older person who's been around, I've seen so many engagement to have these young people engaging each other who are highly educated. As a Liberian, I'm very proud. I'm very proud. And we've been on this thing here now, since it's been here more than 30 minutes, and nothing, no verbal exchanges that will cause me to say, I'm gonna mute people or mute people. Everyone, Prince is being respectful to Sissy view. Sissy is being respectful to Prince view. They're not talking across each other. This is how intellectual engagement supposed to be. And I want to take my hat off again to Prince. Thank you very much for even coming onto this platform. I hope that perhaps you will, from time to time, I know you have your own platform, but from time to time, join us. And not only defend your position, but in the process, you are also educating people, even if we don't agree with you. Even if we don't agree with you. Because here's the point that I'm making. You make these points, Sissy come back and say, this is what I think. In responding to you, Sissy is also unleashing a new information or information out there that perhaps other people don't have. So Prince, I gave you that. But go ahead, make a let me bring in Mr. George here. But go ahead, sis, Prince.
Yes, sir. So with the issue of the ambassador statement, like I said, as an individual, I see that particular statement, as something that has some magnitude in it, has some value, because like he said, these are things that did not just erupt because President Weah became president. These are old age problems. And let me say this. This is time that this generation must tell the United States to be sincere with us. Most of these hospitals, most of these, how you call donor funding that is coming from whether you said or whatever say, we think that they must be more robust and they must be present to make sure that this money, they are spent on the people. If the United States of America,
how are they going to do that?
I agree.
Okay, so if the United States of America was doing a thorough follow-up of all of those donor fundings that were going to Liberia from USAID or whatever under the regime of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but now we're going to boast of some of the most sophisticated, maybe medical center or schools or etc. etc. So what we are saying is that when money is given, like this government have intimated from the very beginning, that she is very transparent, that she is very open, and her books are all open to the international community, we think that this is a good step going forward. That the United States of America, that whatever donor funding that is going, it must not be a mere sample. I traveled to the country. I went lower and I can count more than 366 sample. Or you enter in some villages that get sample, you will see heavy money on the sample rating. $335 million project for rural women development. At the end of the day, go and see even the hut that they are in. I even call it horse. I say the hut that they have for their offices. So I think going forward, like I said from the very beginning, and I don't want to, go back and forth, because I know that this particular statement from the U.S. ambassador, the requisite authority will come and they will, be able to provide the information so as to balance it, so that we ourselves, can have the ability to consume that information and adequately balance the information. So I sure they will do that. But again, we want to say that fundings that go to Liberia, that those agencies or those international NGOs must follow up and make sure that they are implemented to the letter. We know that there are times fundings are given, and even the people that they can send behind it, some of them, they can carry half of the money. The staffs, they can carry half of the money. And we must know that this government must be commended. Remember, Before this government took over, our budget was somewhere around some $400+ million. It was around some.
Hold on, Mr. Judge. Hold on, Mr. Judge. Go ahead.
It was around some $400+ million. And our budget was heavily supported by our international partners, the United Nations. Most of these hospitals that you see, they were all refurbished or they were built by our international partner through the All Milk Quick Impact Project. And they did exceptionally well. But the maintenance of these medical centers, taking into consideration population growth, taking into consideration so many factors, if we were spending, for example, 60 million on the health sector, we need to triple that. And I think these are some of the challenges that we are faced with as a people, as a government. But we are getting there. It's not going to be done overnight, but we are getting there. And we must commend the government so far.
You to be minister in Liberia because you're being very factual here tonight, and I think with that kind of mindset, no people now that you can't. But no, Mr. George, go ahead, Mr. George, thank you for joining us. Go ahead,
Mr. Sherry, how you doing?
I am grateful, Mr. George. I'm grateful, Mr. George. Thank you, sir.
I've been following the conversation religiously, but let me ask you. You said that some people from the government will come to respond 2-3 days, but I want you to be very factual.
But let's remember he's not speaking on behalf of the government.
I'm not saying, I'm not quoting him.
Okay.
He said it, not me.
Okay.
That's his words. That someone from the government will be coming to respond to some of the things the ambassador said. But I want Mr. Sherry to pinpoint out 1 or 2 statements that the ambassador said that you have qualm with in this press release. Secondly, if you say independent, what is the yardstick you use to define independent?
All right.
I think we finished with that one.
Okay, so Pat, let me ask him about this.
Yeah, we finished with that one. Go ahead. You're late.
Let me ask him about this. The 60 million that the ambassador talked about, it's still flowing today, isn't so? If that's according to this information, the system is still coming to assist the health sector. The system is still coming to assist the health sector. So what is wrong when that system what area go to? In which health sector area it go that it's not been going? It's not transitioning into the rural area.
All right. Yes, sir. To say that the money that is being transmitted, by the usage towards the health sector is not going, I think that is, I would not want to take that, as a very fair statement to all of us. You must also know that when you look at the health sector, it's not just we take the money, we give it to the Ministry of Health, and they use it. There are several different components of the health, or sector that we're talking about. Hospitals are scattered around the 15 counties of the Republic of Liberia. We have other areas, like, for example, the mental health areas. So these monies that come into the country, they are apportioned amongst these various.
Mr. George, please.
Yeah. We have a mental health institution. We have even a rehabilitation center, in Liberia, and the government of Liberia is also, giving out what we call subsidy to people who have this institution, like an institution that I know of in Liberia. What the government is now doing is trying to see how best they can be able to give subsidy to some of these people who are rendering, these assistance or these services to our people. Like, I would not want to be very specific yet to call a particular name. So somebody will not say you take this other name over that name. But I know a few group of people who are, organizing, and they are doing exceptionally well. I mean, Liberians who have this mental health, area, and some of them even have this rehabilitation center where to detoxify, our brothers who are engaged in this issue of drugs abuse, and they are doing exceptionally well. As I speak to you, the government is in conversation with them to see how best they can be able to, give these people subsidy to carry on their work. Because remember, the government cannot do everything. And in order for government to be able to provide job and divide the cake that will be able to reach to everybody, and there is a need that the government will be able to stretch your hands, to other institutions. Like when you look at the education sector, they give us subsidy to even private schools. Even though private schools, You know, they are not government institution as per the name, they are private institution, but the government gave them subsidy. Like I can remember when I was in, high school, like those days, back in the 80s, I remember that there were teachers who even in my private school, they were government teachers that were working there. And these are some of the subsidies, that government gave in terms of manpower. Sometimes they give trucks and other things. So these are the things that the government, is working on. So those money go to these areas.
All right. Okay. Let me do this. Mr. Josh, let bring Sissy. Sissy, go ahead before I can ask Prince to see if he wants us to make up, if he wants people to participate by putting the numbers up. He's our guest here.
So real quick. My brother Prince is trying really hard, and I love you, my brother, just so you know, because it takes a lot of intellect to do what you do, and I really appreciate it. I just want to put that out here. But when you're talking about, for me, I like to look at track record. I'm a mathematician, and what I look at is patterns. I look at patterns. And the most recent pattern that doesn't give me hope for what you're saying, that in the next few days there will be a government rebuttal, is I'm looking at what happened in Margibi County with that county health team when they were accused by the ambassador, the government LIBERIA, accused of taking money and misappropriating it in Margibi. To date, we're still waiting for the relevant authority to come out and debunk that. And this is again, like I said, these are being crumbs, pieces that the ambassador took and came up with in this last report. And so when you talk about, you hope that USAID and other organizations, when they come and give money, they should follow the money, make sure it's being implemented. That kind of outsources the responsibility of a government.
That's what
because if, for example, the government of Liberia was still paying back money to the Netherlands because there was some money that was brought by non-profit group to build certain things, airpumps and stuff, and the money was misappropriated, and they asked the Liberian government to pay it back. Your government agreed to pay that money back on behalf
of government.
No, forget it. You know what I mean. I'm not going to go that route. He's here defending them. So your government agreed to pay that money back on behalf of Madame Salif's government that you hear accusing today, without sending anybody for prosecution whatsoever. So Liberian people are paying back money to the Netherlands for funds that were sent for development that were misappropriated. And by the government putting that in the budget, you are tacitly acquiescing to robbery of the Liberian people. So you can't sit and say the people did all these things during Madame Salif's time, they were supposed to follow it, when you have one thing that we have an evidence of that the government agreed to and we are paying back.
Okay. All right, let's
I think, Mr. Sharif, I don't think I've seen the pattern of this government coming back to debunk with anybody who is close with the authority to debunk with any evidence. So
all right. Let's have Salif Prince respond quickly.
Yeah.
Prince, but before you do that, is it okay if after responding that I put the number up for people?
Definitely, definitely.
Go ahead.
One thing I want to say here: government is not a susu club, where when Mr. Joe Blow, who used to collect the people money, he run away. The other man, where can he open since susu club? He own responsibility. Joe Blow no responsibility that he finna running around with. Even the debt from the era of President Tolbert.
Wow.
This government is paying. The debt. Back debt. This government is paying back debt. Government is paying back debt.
Mr. George, let him finish, please.
There are some debt currently, as I speak to you, that this government inherited. This government inherited from institutions, from organizations. There are people who the government is paying money to. I mean, private businesses that have rendered services to government, the government of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the government of President Charles Gange Taylor, the government of the late President Samuel Kanyado, including President Tobo, that this government is paying. Back debt, this government is paying domestic debt. That's why sometimes when the people talk about domestic debt, there were people who render services to government in Liberia. They're not out of Liberia. They render services to government. Government got to pay that money. Even when President Weah leaves from there.
Let me ask you quickly, please, if you don't
mind. Before you come in, though,
why is it
can I do a follow-up real quick, please? Because I think my brother tried to muddy the water and run from.
That's why I want to come in.
I am not saying that governments do not pay debts from other regimes. That is not the point I'm making. Because when you come in, you do have debts that you carry along. And we do understand about all of these foreign domestic debts and everything. We get that. The point I'm making to you is you ask for the United States government, when they send money through, you say other stuff, to follow through with them, and you try to blame the alien government for corruption. And I'm telling you that this government agreed to pay back money that was misappropriated by the alien government to another country. Yes, that is a debt we agree to pay back. But if we are going to be doing that, and if we are transparent, shouldn't we be prosecuting people for who misappropriated that money while we are paying them back? Shouldn't we be doing that?
I agree that people. I agree. I'm one person that's strongly in support of the persecution of people who siphon state resources. But again, you must understand that this is a process. We are in a Liberia where somebody can steal your document the next day, document that you not do over the period of 20 years, it can get lost just like that. In order for you to prosecute these people, my brother, we need to be very careful, or else government will spend billions of dollars and not getting no result. You must make sure to cross the T and dot your I's, to have all of these documents and to have all of them in place, so that at the end of the day, if we decide to go behind people, we will not just be running behind the wings. Sometimes I see people saying, well, we can prosecute this person, well, we can prosecute this person. My brother, let me tell you this, and this is an open secret, I will say it here. Before this government could take over, there were a lot of evil that was done in that country. Documents that should have brought people to book, those documents were taken from out of these ministries. Those documents were taken from sensitive areas and they were destroyed. To the extent, do you know that this government even had to put a special team so people can bring back government property that they were using? I'm sure you are aware of that, Brother Cisse. You are aware of that. There were people who the government had to set up a special team to say, my man, you are using the government car, bring it here. So these are some of the challenges we have as a nation that we got to adequately deal with. Put these things in order.
We prosecuted Bonnie Samuka, but we couldn't prosecute anybody else.
But hold on, guys. I think, Prince, we need to stay within the confine of our conversation, because we do not have evidence of people doing whatever you're saying, and I not that I don't believe you, but let us try to stay away from those type of conversation. I just want to make us sure that we stay within this confine. But anyhow, the question I was going to ask, and let me just ask this here, then I can put a number up, and that is, you're talking about the government still paying people. How come then that few months back, the Minister of Finance made it public that we do have surplus? Now, I'm not a finance person, but I think if you're going to have surplus, that means everything I mean, all your debt, you finish paying everybody, and then some more remaining. That's why you got surplus. Is that, am I not correct?
No. Let me say this: under no condition and circumstances can a government pay all of the debt at once. Even if you have surplus, you can't, because there are competing priorities. For example, should we forget about the health sector and say, for example, let's take maybe $200 million and just settle our domestic debt? Should we forget about the education sector?
I was under the impression that in order for you to show that you will have already paid everything. But anyway, let me put a number out for folks. Those of you that want to call us tonight, let's do it. But as you've been listening to the conversation,
I think Mr. George want to come in.
Yeah, he will. He will. But I'm just saying, let me just lay it out here quickly. As you've been, folks, if you've been listening to us at Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio, our guest here tonight is Prince Sharif, who has his own show on the Power Hut, who's been doing some wonderful jobs here tonight, having conversation with us. And I will ask those of you that are going to call, you please stay within the same tone of voice and same process that we're going through here. Let me take this call. Mr. George, I will come to you. Let me take this call. Hold on, caller. Hold on 1 minute. Hold on, just give me a minute and let me connect you. Okay. All right. Go ahead. What's your name? Where you're calling from? What's on your mind? Hello, can you hear me, caller?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead quickly. What's your name and what's on your mind?
Good evening, Mr. Toll. Good evening, Mr. George, and good evening, Prince. This is Aaron Public calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment. You know, I love the opposition. You know, I mean, sometimes you guys can really make me confused. The last time this same ambassador came up, you know, and put up a press statement about people in the diaspora making comments or that
is it the IE man?
Yeah, that's the
because
IE
I'm coming to take that. I'm coming to take the yellow background from and put red background over there. But
that
go
has
ahead.
the propensity, the propensity to cause chaos in Morovia. Every one of you guys, well, doubting the ambassador statement. Oh, the ambassador can be having coffee with the president the next day. Then the next day he come out and make a statement. Now the ambassador came up with a statement that they didn't favor the government. Everybody running with every platform, even on Spoon last night. Okay, that disgraced platform, and all were running with people corruption issue and all kinds of stuff. So we got to balance. The last time we were on the show, Mr. Toll, I told you guys, if we want to speak about things, let's speak about it on both sides. Okay, when the ambassador come out and say something about that does not favor the opposition, let's speak about it as well. The same when he comes out and say stuff about things. I mean, did you believe that the ambassador go to those villages and actually went to those hospitals? Prince is right. People feeding the ambassador with information. Prince is right. Do you think he really went to those places? No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Wow.
Okay, but my thing to it is, if we want to speak about the ambassador's statement, let's speak about every statement that he comes out with. Let's not say because he comes out with this statement today, it did not favor the government, so we will talk about it. Then when he comes out with a statement tomorrow that favor the government and did not favor the opposition.
Mr. IE, let me ask you: are you saying that this ambassador, the statement he made about going to these places, are in fact not true? He didn't go to these places.
Yeah, he didn't go to some of those villages.
Which places he didn't go? Name the past that are not.
He didn't go to some other places.
Name the past that are not.
I agree with Prince 100%.
Do you care to say which because he said he has visited all of the counties. Do you care to say which one of the county perhaps in your mind, or perhaps you have the evidence to share with us? You're not necessarily sharing with us, but the evidence to show that he didn't visit those areas?
Well, if the ambassador says he visited every county in Liberia, I agree with him on that. But he cannot say he visited every hospital in Liberia.
He didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say he visited all the hospitals. There were a few hospitals he visited.
Okay. So the few that he visited,
okay, we'll give it to you. Let's move on.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Let me correct my brother before he goes real quick. My IE brother.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Go ahead, IE.
No. I just want to tell you guys, okay? We got challenges in Liberia. Okay, nobody's saying everything is okay or all right, or everything is 100%. No, nobody's saying that. But you guys have to understand that. In as much as we have those challenges and stuff like that, the government still trying its best to do everything they can do to keep the health care better for people.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to fix it.
All right.
It will take time.
Yeah.
It's going to be fixed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So if I will come,
I got a lot of people on the line. Please take note.
If I will come in very quick.
He made a comment. I want to check.
Please take note. Take note. Samson Toll, LIBERIA Public Radio. What's your name? Where you're calling from? What's on your mind?
Thank you. My name is Kelvin Carter. I'm calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay. Thank you for joining us.
So, I want to tell you thank you, and thank you. Good evening to your panelists. I think Brother Prince is not telling the Liberian people the truth, because I think if he is saying that Joshua government is paying debt from Tomotown, Dothan, then which are the debt that were canceled by that Helen Johnson Sirleaf talked to the international community that were canceled? So which of the debt are they paying?
Okay.
Because we remember that all of those debt were canceled.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Can please tell which are the debt are the people paying from
That's
Tomotown up to Dothan?
thank you very much. That's one thing I like about LPR audience. They are in tune. Thank you, Prince. Please write that down. Okay, let me take this other color. Thank you very much. Let me take this other color. Samson told LeBron Public Radio, what's your name? Where you're calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah, it is Entusano. I'm calling from Minnesota.
Okay.
Brooklyn Center.
Okay. Go ahead. Ask your question quick. We have other colors. Go ahead.
Oh, I have a point here. First of all, I want to congratulate the studio guest, Prince.
Okay.
I, for one, I love his show.
Mm-hmm.
And to be definite, I'm a statistician, but I want to be realistic.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Prince, we are from the same party. I just coming from Liberia. I know that for me, I visited a lot of area. Despite that I love my government, I love my party, but I think we must be able to tell the honorable ambassador thanks, because what we're supposed to be doing as government, but the fact that the ambassador took risks to go from various areas.
When you say risk, what do you mean? I want you to be a little bit specific on that in terms of.
Okay. In terms of traveling.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Finish your statement.
Low condition.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Going in a environment that he has not been before. Yeah, those places. That means he's doing the job of the government. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
People should know better that those information that the ambassador coming our way to let the public know should be the responsibility of our government.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Chairman, you're going to have to wait. Go ahead. Make your point so that the next caller can take over.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. For the fact that the ambassador were able to go to collect those information or to make statement on the information according to the press statement, it means that he did well. We should be realistic to ourselves, and then we should tell the ambassador thanks that for the fact that he went to collect the information, we are able to get some of the information from the various countries. So I think we need to work on certain things so that the government morale can be boosted. That's just what I want to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Champion, go ahead. Okay, my brother, you can drop your phone now so I can bring the other call. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Tu.
Yeah, hello. How you doing?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
To you guys has to do with the ambassador's statement.
Mm-hmm.
When the ambassador makes a statement about Liberia in the diaspora, that using the First Amendment right in America and trying to tarnish that country, Liberia, most of the opposition party in America never comes to emphasize the statement that the ambassador made. Today, the ambassador talking about we went in the 15 counties in Liberia. My question is, do you guys have to do it? Is that the responsibility of the United States ambassador to Liberia? Can the Liberian ambassador in America, can the ambassador in Liberian ambassador to America can get the access to go to the 52 states in America here to do and then check on any health sectors in America or any program in America? Can the Liberian ambassador do that? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me take on the other call. Guys, just please take note. Please take note. Go ahead. Call out Samson to LeBron Public Radio. What's your name? Where you're calling from? Go ahead.
Is that me?
Yeah, it's you now. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. Good evening, Mr. Fu. How you doing?
Okay.
Let me first ask the caller who
just let me just say something to follow who just left the line.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's,
please, just respond to the studio guest and yeah, please.
Ambassador Brown all over the United States. Before the ambassador get confirmed by the U.S. Senate.
Okay. Libo, just hold on 1 minute. Go ahead. Finish your stuff so the other color can get it.
Ambassador for every part of Liberia. Did he say you are going to be ambassador for Moreover only? Didn't he say that?
Yes.
He made that statement.
Yes, he said that.
He lived up to his statement. So when you see the ambassador going to the New York country, it was based on that he was going to be ambassador for every part of Liberia. That's why he implemented. Now let me go back to Brother Prince.
Yeah, please do it quick. There are a lot of people calling here tonight. Please.
Is there any statement being made by the U.S. Embassy against the government? And the government I ever debunked? Can you show me one? When the embassy came out with corruption, everybody said, "Oh, the government, this is a lie. It's not factual. The government will debunk it, or they will counter. They will try to go to court." We're still waiting. So what are you talking about? Everything order is factual. No argument there.
All right.
Saying it, but you're not even counter it. Not a statement will come from the government. I bet.
Okay. Thank you very much. Libo, go ahead. Thank you. Let me drop. Yeah, go ahead. You're the next caller. Yeah, go ahead.
Good program tonight. Good show.
Thank you.
You know, coming to the ambassador's statement, what really kind of touched me, one of the things, although he said so many things that touched me, but one of the that touched me, he said the only functioning office in our villages are functioning every day and night. It's RLE.
Yeah, because you're collecting tax.
Where they're collecting money. It's a one-way traffic.
Yes.
Even the 100,000 for our sons and daughters in those villages that they put in their budget, they consume it. It's a shame. It is a shame. You can say, American ambassador now went to Liberia to go in the 15 country, 15 country, excuse me. But that's just a shame. Nothing wrong with Liberian, ambassador to go in a 52 state. Why you gotta compare with Liberia? Nothing.
Okay.
So you cut the bullcrap off. It's a shame. Pro-poor government is a pro-wicked, pro-evil government.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Yeah, good evening, Samson to Liberian Public Radio. You're going to be the last caller. Go ahead, make your point, but there's too much noise in your area.
Yeah, I'm Mr. To and CC and Pat George and Sherry. How you doing?
Okay, thank you.
I just got a quick question. I know you have the president here. Why you can't talk to the president, maybe do a shuffle in his cabinet, or let some of these people go? Because I know you do an amazing job to defend him, to talk about the good thing the government does, but why he can't do a shuffle? Because I feel people should be telling us what is wrong with our country. We want for people to tell us why is wrong with our country before we can act. When you just get the president here, you can talk to him.
Yeah, go ahead.
But to give him a call.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Prince, I hope you're taking it. Okay, let me go to the next caller. Go ahead. 612 number. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Mr. So, I just wanted to make my contribution.
Yeah, but talk louder. They can't. The audience. I mean, the studio guests can I hear you better? You're not audible enough. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I was trying to say that I don't know why the citizens are celebrating over the statement of the ambassador, because the statement also impacts the CDC government. But I don't understand from which perspective they are looking at it from. But I think it's not a statement that we're supposed to be celebrating over. Otherwise, it is a statement that we're supposed to be conscientized about, even though the legislature carry a huge portion of the statement, but the statement actually indicts the entire government, which is not a good sign.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, folks, that's the last caller, and we will go to the studio guests now to answer some of the questions, and we will be wrapping up within the next 5-10 minutes the most. So let's start with Sharif. Prince, we'll start with you. You're the guest, and I know you were writing some of the questions. You want to address each of the question, or you want to lump all of them together?
No, I would just, just do a kind of,
Summarize. Okay, go ahead.
summarize it,
Go ahead.
Let me first of all thank all of the callers. I think the points that they raised, they are all genuine points based on their opinion, and I respect their opinion. But our brother Aaron said something that all of us need to pay keen attention to. When the ambassador spoke about the Talawayan hospital, that particular assertion he made was based on an interview that he heard from one of the news outlets. So when my brother said it was not all the areas that he went to, he was right. The ambassador was not at the Talawayan hospital. Read his own statement. He said there was a report from the press that point out to these things. That's why initially, when we were talking on the issue of the press, I said we must understand that some of these press houses, they have now been politicized. We know that some of them are in the pockets of opposition. That is something that is a known fact to all of us. So the second thing is, you do not tell us that based on your 15 or maybe 2 or 3 hours a session, that it is sufficient enough to discredit the work that people have been doing. No. Like I said from the beginning, we appreciate the comments from the ambassador, and there are some things that we seriously need to work on. Yes, there are challenges, but again, when you look at this particular tour, the ambassador was doing it in order for him to say, yes, I complete, my tax. Look, Mr. Toe, you cannot go to a place, especially, for example, let's look at Lofa. As big as Lofa is, on the biggest county that we have, Arena being, the political zone where they take Bapolu from there, one of the biggest county. You go there, you spend 3 hours, and you can't say, yeah, they play, they do one, not this, and not that. But again, we respect the statement of the ambassador. The one that we need to work on, we'll work on it. Those that are supposed to, come and give the information, they will come and give the information. Somebody said, I think it was the sixth caller. The sixth caller said, the issue of the Propo agenda, is well. Let me not dignify that. Let me not dignify that. But I think all of the callers, they have concerns, and what we are doing as responsible government, what the government is doing, is working on these problems. Some of the problems today that the government is tackling, they've been problems that were there since the foundation of Liberia. And today, what this government is doing is trying to see how best you can solve the problem. Look, for example, the road that, as we speak to you, that has been built from Bon County straight to Lofa County.
No, Prince, don't
Now,
touch
these are
that
things.
one. Don't
Yeah,
touch
I
that
know.
one,
I'm just
because
giving
I'm
you an
going to
example
invite
now.
you back, and we're
Yes,
going to
yes,
deal
sir.
with the
So,
road.
these are some of the problems. These are some of the challenges that we are faced with, and that government is doing everything to work with. Now, when you look at the health, let's be very specific with the health sector. We took over a health sector that was completely dependent on the international community. The first people that ever had a protest in Liberia, they were the health workers. Remember, there were about 2,000 health workers that were never on the payroll of the government. They were all on payrolls of different NGOs, and they were just receiving stipends from government. They were there almost like helper. Somebody would say in our Liberian way, they were just helping. When this government took over, she included all of them on the payroll. So with the issue of the health sector, we are faced with a serious challenge. But again, we must commend this government, that the government is doing everything to solve the problem. For the fact that we did not downsize, for the fact that we did not tell anybody, say, okay, you go where we're coming back, we'll come back to you. But yes, the problems are there. But this government is working tirelessly to solve the problem. Look at JFK a few years ago. The kind of facility we are having currently at JFK. Were they there? No, they were never there. First time in the history of Liberia, we have an oxygen, factory that will save the lives of thousands of Liberians. Is that not something we are doing? As I speak to you, look at the 14 military hospital. Look at the Bapolu Emory Hospital. So these are all things that we are working on. Look at Great Gide as I speak to you. One of the most modern hospitals is about to be built in the Southeastern Part. As I speak to you, look at River G. 100-bedroom hospital is being built there. So the challenges are enormous. But again, the government is working tirelessly. And remember that everything this government is doing is from the government own coffers. The ambassador talked about the LRA. So one of the callers said, the issue of that only LRA functional. We must thank the people of Liberia that they are becoming responsible now to pay their taxes. And that is a good thing. To encourage your people to pay legal taxes that you can use. We cannot continue to depend on, handouts that come in here and there. And that's what this president is doing.
We'll come back to you for at least
yeah, so to just land on this, to just end on this. So the good thing that this president is doing is encouraging Liberia to put their mouth where their money is, or to put their money where their mouth is. That is, they can be able to pay taxes that are used today for the building of roads, hospitals, and etc.
Thank you. We'll come back to you to give us a closing. Sissy, let's start with you then.
I don't know what
question you want to answer.
I don't know if I should start with Prince or I should start with my IE brother. But let me start.
Start with the IE brother.
I'll start with IE and draw Prince in because he agreed with him. On this platform, what we did when the ambassador released a statement that had within it the caution to Liberians that use the comfort of the U.S. and their rights to create problems in Liberia. On this platform, we welcome that statement. So I hope my brother Aaron Pobla would not tie us in with other people, because the seditions, and I'm going to say that because he started that path, always have a way of tying everything around the opposition say this. So if somebody who doesn't agree with them goes and says something, it is the entire opposition community that said that, which is it takes a special level of extra thinking to get to that point. On this platform, I am still on record when Jerome Verdier came out and accused Jefferson Koji and Valley Tele. I sat on this platform and say the day I may provide that evidence, I will tell the people the secret that the serpent told to Eve in her ear, because I knew Jerome Verdier was not being factual, and I called him out for being for creating problems in Liberia on this platform. So you don't be trying to do that thing while you just run around the place and talk all kind of thing. The next piece is for you to say that, somebody say, okay, the U.S. can the Liberian ambassador here come and do what the U.S. ambassador is doing in Liberia? My brother Achimo Frederick already took care of that in the chat because I wanted to say the same thing. The Liberian ambassador to the United States is free to go around places in the U.S. to check on projects that are being funded by Liberian tax dollars to ensure that the U.S. government is using it properly. Let them go check on all that project and even cut their own grass in their yard, the embassy.
Okay.
Right? And so for me, the other piece I want to talk about. Prince is sitting here talking about the ambassador spoke about Telewian Hospital, and it came from the news. I have to say that it's such a bad thing. The issue with the county health thing, $100,000, came from the news. And the ambassador spoke about that. We're still waiting for other people to come and debunk it. They can't. So I don't understand why you make it look like to get data from the news is such a bad thing. And since that video was aired, the government of Liberia, requisite authorities, have not come out to debunk that. Okay. So I don't understand what is the method of evidence gathering that y'all go through. I really don't understand that. And then the last piece is Prince Sharif is talking about the government of Liberia, anytime it was all on donors. You talked about the Emory Hospital. Who built the Emory Hospital? Was that the Liberian government? Let's stop that thing. We come here 1 minute, we want to claim something is the government doing it. The next minute, we stay asking. We are this government. I remember in history, this is the #1 government that celebrates getting grants from other government more than any other government. You, Prince Sherry, on your show, you have listed so many times the Qatar government said they'll do their one, the other person said they'll do their one. You celebrated more than anybody, yet you want to say that everything is being built by your government. You got to pick one way because the divergence is so palpable and it makes some of us confused.
Okay, thank you. Mr. George?
Yes. Yeah, you know, it is funny that when we sit down here on this platform, when the ambassador released that statement, people in the diaspora, the only question I asked the ambassador was on the cultural issue. It was the cultural issue. I said, the ambassador statement he made, I said, I have a problem with it on this thing. And we all caution people making statements from here about Liberia. This platform is not where we come, we just take everything and just run away, as maybe people say opposition. No, we take every statement from all sides. And brother, Aaron was on the very show here. We critique a statement from all sides. But let's put that aside. CDC is like they want to take credit for the good thing. The bad thing, then they ship it on opposition. You talk about hospital. The Qatar hospital, is it open now? Is it open now?
Go ahead.
But so you talk about that. Anytime, build a modern hospital in Nima, where furniture, people are leaving from Morocco to go there. You talk about roads. Can you give me how many kilometers of road that people have paved and make all the noise about road?
We'll talk about road when we're going to invite.
You mentioned those things. So,
that will be another topic. He and I are going to have a conversation on.
If you say the ambassador took 3 hours, last year the ambassador traveled. I remember he was in Grand Gilead when he was meeting with citizens in Grand Gilead. Last year he traveled. He was on a tour again. But even if it's 3 hours, what is it that he's saying that you people can challenge? Bring a data and say, look, what you say here is wrong. These are the facts. But you're telling us it will take 3 to 4 days before you can respond. We said we'll be waiting to see that response to challenge word by words that the ambassador said that it's not true.
Okay. All right. Say, give us a 30-second closing, please.
Well, Prince Sharif, my brother, I appreciate you, man. I think you and I have a fundamental difference on how to move Liberia forward. But what I will not take from you is that you don't love Liberia. Anybody say that anywhere, I will challenge them. I think we all love Liberia. I think we all just have a different idea on how to move Liberia forward. We all want to move Liberia forward. And I appreciate you so much, my brother, for putting your strength into what you believe is the right way to move Liberia forward. What I won't take for anybody, whether it's in opposition or is in ruling government, is to believe that some people don't love Liberia, that seditionists don't love Liberia or opposition don't love Liberia. I think we all love Liberia. We just have a different calculation on the way to move our country forward. So thank you so much for coming on. I don't want to say thank you for being civil because I know you've always been civil. I think that would be a disrespect to you. So thank you for coming on, my fellow teacher. I appreciate you. You know, good luck, my man.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. George?
Yeah, Prince, thank you. I hope we should continue to have this kind of conversation. This is good for our country. Even though I disagree with you on many of the things, but the idea that we can sit for hours and talk about Liberia, it means that we all love Liberia, but it's just that we are taking different paths or different routes to get there. Like someone going to Douala, I say I go in Douala, I say, okay, I'll go all the way Pins Way, and someone say, well, from after I will go. So that is what we are doing. At the end of the day, Liberia is the bigger picture. So, again, I thank you for coming, and I hope again you'll come back. The mere fact that you can come here, sit there for hours, defending what you believe in, it's commendable.
Thank you.
We can disagree, but it's hurtful for our democracy, the young democracy we're trying to build. It's hurtful for it. So, Mr. Sherry, thank you.
Thank you. Prince, go ahead. What will be your closing remarks?
Let me first of all say thanks to the Almighty God, the Almighty Allah, for giving me the opportunity to be on this platform. And let me extend my thanks and appreciation to His Excellency President Dr. George Manuel Weah for giving us the opportunity to be able to, express ourselves, especially as Liberians, on this platform. That this platform are giving recognition. Some few years ago, the proliferation of platform like this kind of professional platform, they were never around. But by the grace of God, this government has ensured that Liberians, wherever they are, that they too can be able to add their voice to what matters, in Liberia. So that's what I want to thank the government for, because had it not been, the government tolerance in accepting Liberians to criticize and come up with their view, we now have platform, around the place making meaningful impact. And I want to say very meaningful impact. I may not agree with someone here, someone may not agree with me, but hey, let me say this. There are some meaningful points that people are making here that all of us can learn from. And I think it's very, very important that sometimes we put aside, our personal, maybe vindictive attitude that we have for each other and look at the substantive issues that are raised, whether it is being raised by somebody from ANC, UP, Gonglo, or whatever, but Liberia matter to us all. So I want to thank, the government, and most especially, I want to say thanks to the Liberian people who continue to believe in this president. Mr. Toll, the president just had a 2 days, emergency cabinet retreat. And the love that the Liberian people showed to this president for the level of development, it was overwhelming. To see people walking from as far as Bokonjiri to come in Grand Bassa County to be able to appreciate this president for what he's doing, the building of roads, of hospitals, housing unit, and giving the children free education is something that was overwhelming. I was a bit confused. I was really surprised to see an enter of mine who left from Lofa to come just to Grand Bassa County to come and tell this president thank you, even though the president will be going to Lofa, but to tell this president thank you is overwhelming, and the Liberian people are resolved to give this president his second mandate. In fact, as I speak, we are only waiting for the day of inauguration that we'll be able to give this president legally a resounding paper and say, Mr. President, continue. To Liberians who have different opinion, I want to say, your strategy may not be well received by the Liberian people, but I think keep on trying, as Zach and Jiba, sang that song, keep on trying. One day you will keep on trying. Just keep on trying. Maybe one day you will get there. But thank you all. Thank you all for the support. To my Sidicians that have come to support me, I want to appreciate you, brother Aaron, Lucini, all of the callers. I want to thank you all very much. My brother Thomas, thank you so much. Emmanuel and everybody. I want to say thanks to the audience. This audience, they were really, really wonderful. Thank you all. And I appreciate you all from my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prince
Thank
Sherry,
you. Thank you.
Mr. Prince Sherry, I admire you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. George. I do want to, on a very serious note, I want to take my hat off to you, Prince. And I hope I'm going to be extending invitation to you again. So that you will come back, and this time we'll talk about,
just so you know.
Okay,
so that when you come back, we'll be able to discuss the road issue and what have you. But what I want to say here, very short statement I want to say to you here is this. I think the opposition, the political leaders in Liberia should view this platform tonight, and perhaps they might be able to learn something. Sisi is a admirer and supporter of Tier 1 Gonglo. Mr. Judge is an admirer and supporter of ANC. I am an admirer of Dr. and Ambassador Wakai. I don't know him.
You bought the Wakai again?
You not even the one going back to
That why I refuse to eat your pepper soup. That why I refuse to eat your pepper soup, because I know if I eat the pepper soup, you will get it back. But on a very serious note, we have a strong support of CDC, and we've been on here more than 2 vehemently disagreeing with each other. but yet still were able to have conversation. I think this is something that we Liberian, if we can do this every time that we get together, we might not agree on things, but let us disagree civilly. I mean, let us don't get into each other background, what have you, money, empire. It has nothing to do with it. But Prince, I want to thank you very much for coming on Liberian Public Radio tonight and having this conversation. We will invite you again. And I like when we started, you started putting on your beret. I know the conversation is going to be sweet tonight. So we will invite you again. And hopefully next time when you're coming, perhaps you can get another sedition to join you. And then we can have a serious conversation, because I think there are many things
Wait, why? There only one Gonglo person here. Why the member bring 2 seditions?
No, there's your home. There's your platform. We are coming as guests.
You bring 2 guests here. Okay.
Seriously, Prince, you guys, not that you don't have a place to explain your government things that the government have been doing, but most of the people that follow you, most of them know these things. But some of the people that are on different platforms and what have you, they are not quite into it. So by you coming out here enumerating some of these things, and people might disagree with you, but at least they go in the ears of other people as well. And just so that they will know this president and the government or whatever is not just sleeping. Like I've always said, tonight millions and millions of Liberians will get up tomorrow morning again underneath this government. So I think safety and all these kinds of things, they are very important. But anyhow, I want to thank you very much for taking time again this evening to joining us and having this wonderful, wonderful conversation. We'll say good night to you. And please, we will call upon you again. And please don't hesitate to join us so that we can talk about the infrastructure side of this government as well.
So after people get released, then we'll come back again to go over it.
Yeah.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thanks to all.
Okay. Good night. All right. Sister, Mr. Josh, thank you. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Again, folks, Samson told Liberian Public Radio. It was a wonderful, wonderful program, and I enjoy it, to be honest with you. To have and I would say some ridiculous thing now that the guests and the panelists are not here anymore. I would say some ridiculous thing. I've been saying this thing over and over. I've said it before many times. When I'm talking, some people say, "Oh man, they old man apart." But both people in Liberia, I always say both people that came out, that Lofa, that Nima, and they go down the line. But on a very serious note, when we have Sese on one hand, Prince Sherry on the other hand, and I'm in the middle, Mr. Josh and myself were the older person. But for me, it gives a kinds of issues or the hope that the future of Liberia is still ahead. We might not agree with them. We might not agree with him. Whatever he says yet, and say, "Oh no, the man, he said this, he said that way," But the fact that he will come here and agree to have a conversation with us for 2 hours, fiercely defending his position, even if you think his position is out of whack, so to speak. But he's defending it respectfully, intellectually. I think that's something that should make all of us proud. All of us as Liberians. That means if he is asked to represent us, Liberian, anywhere outside of Liberia, I think he would do that. You might not agree with him, but he would do that to the best of his ability. And that's all he asks a man to do, or a woman to do, to work to the best of their ability. And I want to take it off to our Prince Sharia again tonight and say thank you very much. And the audience, I'm surprised that many of you were very, very civil tonight. Some of you were writing as though we've been on this thing. This is the Prince Sharia always joining us and what have you. Okay. And so it's a wonderful feeling to have an audience that will support you, but still respect what you guys are doing. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Honestly, I appreciate it. It made me want to come back again tomorrow. Thank you very much for your continued support. I will say thank you and good night to all of you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night, folks. Samson to LIBERIA Public Radio.
Diable, no kaba bayo la moi sur adilo. Ya American Paulo. Ici Otis Wema, encore une autre fidèle qui. L'Amérique a pas loupé yo. Quand il y a Sylvie, il a quoi que j'ai loupé presse. L'Amérique a pas loupé, t'as mon bien de moi avec moi, nous deux. On s'en m'a pris. On va battre au moins, n'en haut. Mon temps dit, t'as mon mouillé. On s'est abattu de fois, moi, il dit, pleurer. Mais là, l'aucun yo. Quand vous soyez du loin, allez, envoyez-le. Battu au loin, Yao, abela lokeyo, mi vito jogbai, mi vito inamba, artiste mo peyo. Manager Gigi, ouais peut jamais forcer ou, si tu connais, tu connais. L'animateur Choco Inoska Yassin de Toyebli, l'homme a tout fait pour mi vito, Aniche les vieux. Bon, nous doit dire ne moi, conseil c'est moi, dis-moi. Attends, nous, bébé, oui, t'es mon temps, nous, bâtio.